Hello, today I'm going to talk about some of the tools I find useful when building and modifying remote control cars and robots. I'm going to talk about some tools that are essential, some tools that are optional, and some tools that I didn't think I would need but I find incredibly useful. So let's go. The first tool is a small Phillips head screwdriver. It's used for everything from modern cars like this one to older cars from the 80s and 90s like this one, and even the toy ones from the 90s and the modern toys as well. They all use Phillips head. You can of course buy some different screws, like these have hex heads. Most of the screws in these things are M3 or M4, so you can replace them with hexes if you really don't like Phillips, but you'll still have to remove the old screws, so you'll need a Phillips head screwdriver regardless. The next tool is less a tool and more a safety item. It's safety glasses. You wouldn't think you'd need safety glasses when doing electronics and robotics, but that one time when something flies toward your eye, you'll be glad you wore it all the other times when there was no chance of anything happening. Next, we have a pair of tweezers. Tweezers are always useful. If you drop a screw into somewhere where you can't find it or you need to grab something, well, tweezers. Next, we have a sharp knife. You'll want some kind of sharp knife, either one of these or a modeling knife, but either way, something that's very sharp and can cut the little bits of plastic and other things you'll find in there that you'll need cutting when building a model or a remote control car or a robot. Those are all the tools you should need to build a remote control car kit or a robot kit. But what happens if you want to modify things or add things that weren't designed to be there in the first place? The first tool for that is a measuring device. I've got these handy digital calipers. You don't need calipers really, you can use a ruler or something too, but these are more precise and really easier to use. Another is some degreaser. This is electrical degreaser. You can also use, of course, everybody knows about WD-40. If you want to get some stuck screws out of an ancient remote control car like this one, or you just want to clean out some grease and whatever, then use some of that. We also need some needle-nose pliers for twisting things and getting into areas where bigger pliers don't go, but tweezers don't have enough torque.
They also double as wire cutters.
Next is, of course, a soldering iron. Now, I have a soldering gun. I recommend a soldering iron instead of this. This is not that good. It stays cold, and then if you want it to heat up, you have to hold the trigger down, whereas a soldering iron just stays hot all the time. It's much better, but either way, you'll need a soldering iron or a soldering gun. And of course, to put things together, you'll need some glue to stick them together. I've got this glue. It's good for plastic and rubber and stuff, but different glues are good for different things. Just look on the packaging and see what it's for and find the one you need. And then a more specialty item is silicone grease. I've got this stuff. It's good for weatherproofing, as I showed on a previous video, and it's also, I use this to lubricate the ball differentials in the rally car I had over there. It's just generally useful for making things go. And then we have a hacksaw. Of course, there are power tools that are better, but if you need to cut something metal, you need something to cut the metal with. All right, now for the tools that I didn't think were going to be that useful, but turned out to be incredibly useful. The first is double-sided tape. You don't want to use this for permanent things. You should maybe 3D print something more solid, but for just putting things in, like for this car, I've got the speed controller and the receiver in there. They're not coming out. And of course the rally car with the camera on it, and it's also got the speed controller mounted with double-sided tape. I should probably put the back in there too. And the last tool is the heat gun. I didn't think this would be useful for building remote control cars and robots, but I actually bought it to fix my old broken phone. You can see it's cracked there. I'm going to replace the screen, and for that you need to heat up the glue to unstick it. But This is also useful for remote control cars and robots. You'll note this old toy if you see the video where I put an oversized battery in here. I was filing away at the case to make a hole for the battery, and I wasn't getting very far until I heated up the plastic with the heat gun, and then it cut through it easily. Also, this car, I was installing shocks. Those shocks actually didn't fit, but I ordered some new ones. But the place where the shocks go in right here is just a little bit smaller than the standard remote control car shock size. But if you just heat up this one edge here, you can expand it a little bit and fit them in nicely. And then it'll cool down and give you an even better fit. And there are lots of other uses. Anything where you need to soften some plastic or heat up a metal lid if there's a tight object that you can't open, you can just heat it up a bit and use your degreaser, and then you can get it open. So there's lots of useful uses for heat guns. Of course, you can also use a hair dryer if you don't have a heat gun. It's not going to get as hot and you're not going to get as focused a stream of heat, but it'll work in a pinch. Yeah, so that's all the tools I like to use to build and modify remote control cars and robots. If there's anything you think I've missed or anything you find useful, be sure to add it to the comments. My next video, I'll be upgrading this old Truggy. You can see I've already done some. I was going to make that this video, but the shocks I used didn't fit, as I mentioned earlier. So I'm getting some new ones, and once I get those, I'll put up that video. So yeah, see you next time.